The Silent Watchers, the Council's dismissal. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered beneath the glow of artificial stars. Their voices echoed through the chamber as they discussed the latest territorial disputes and trade agreements. But when the conversation turned to the small blue planet in the outer rim, laughter filled the air like music at a celebration. Earth? Ambassador Zextai clicked his mandibles in amusement. His insectoid form towered over the speaking platform as holographic images of the peaceful planet rotated slowly above the assembly. That quiet little world still refuses our invitation to join the council. They claim they need more time to prepare. More laughter rippled through the chamber. The Krillian delegate, her scales shimmering with mirth, rose from her seat. How much time does a species need? They have been contacted 17 times over the past century. Each time they respond with the same polite message about not being ready for galactic politics. The massive Gorvac representative slammed his fist on his platform, causing smaller delegates to jump in their seats. My people have conquered 40 star systems in the time these humans have spent growing flowers and making art. They are weak. They have no warrior spirit. Ambassador Zextai nodded, pulling up tactical displays that showed Earth's orbital space. Look at their defenses. A few small satellites and some basic monitoring stations. No battle fleets, no weapon platforms, no military installations visible from space. They are defenseless. What the council members did not know was that at that very moment, far beneath Earth's surface, thousands of humans worked in facilities that stretched deep into the planet's crust. These underground cities hummed with activity as engineers, scientists, and strategists labored on projects that would have terrified the galaxy's most powerful empires. The secret beneath, Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked through the corridors of Deep Station Alpha, her footsteps echoing off walls lined with advanced quantum processors. The facility, carved into solid rock 3 kilometers below the surface, was just one of dozens scattered across Earth's continents. Each installation was connected by tunnels and transport systems that formed a vast network invisible to orbital scans. Status report, she called to her team as she entered the main laboratory. The chamber was enormous, filled with devices that bent space and time to their will. Holographic displays showed star charts, weapon schematics, and fleet formations that existed only in theory. The new engines are ready for field testing, reported Commander Sarah Kim, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's secret defense forces. We can move our ships faster than anything the galaxy has ever seen. The stealth systems are working perfectly too. We've had scout ships observing council meetings for months, and they never detected us. Dr. Rodriguez smiled as she examined the data streams flowing across her screens. Excellent. And the manufacturing facilities? Running at full capacity, came the reply from Chief Engineer Marcus Webb. We're producing 1 complete warship every 18 hours. The automated systems are working beyond our best projections. The doctor nodded, remembering the day 50 years ago when Earth's leaders had made the decision that would change everything. The first alien contact had not been peaceful. A small exploration fleet had arrived in Earth's solar system, scanned the planet, and then sent a message that chilled every human who heard it. Primitive species detected. Resource extraction will begin in 1 standard year. That fleet had left, confident that the humans would be easy to conquer when they returned. But they never came back. Earth scientists had studied their technology, reverse-engineered their systems, and then built something far better. The would-be conquerors had become teachers, though they never knew it. The galaxy's amusement. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth had become something of a joke among military commanders and political leaders. In the war rooms of the hegemony, generals planned campaigns without even considering the small blue world. In the trading posts of the merchant coalition, Earth was listed as a potential market for primitive goods and simple technologies. Admiral Korth of the Dominion Fleet reviewed his star charts during a routine briefing with his officers. His ship, the Destroyer of Worlds, was the flagship of the most feared armada in the galaxy. When a junior officer mentioned Earth during their discussion of undefended systems, the admiral barely glanced up from his tactical displays. That peaceful little planet? Korth's laugh was like grinding metal. They probably spend their time making music and painting pictures. I've heard they actually have areas of their world set aside just for growing plants they cannot eat. Decorative plants. Can you imagine? His officers joined in the laughter, but one young lieutenant dared to speak up. Sir, shouldn't we at least monitor them? Intelligence reports suggest they have unusual energy readings in some areas. Admiral Korth's expression darkened. Lieutenant, are you questioning my assessment? That world has been observed for decades. They have no weapons, no fleets, and no understanding of real power. They are farmers and artists, not warriors. The E.O.K. lieutenant fell silent, but his concerns were not entirely unfounded. Deep space monitoring stations had indeed detected strange emanations from Earth's solar system. Energy signatures that did not match any known technology appeared and disappeared, like ghosts in the void. Some sensors reported massive objects moving at impossible speeds, only to find empty space when they focused their scans. The underground empire back on Earth, the secret continued to grow. In hidden shipyards built inside hollow asteroids, vessels took shape that would have amazed the galaxy's greatest engineers. These ships were not built for exploration or trade. They were instruments of war, designed by minds that had spent decades studying every conflict in galactic history. Captain James Harrison stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder, one of Earth's newest dreadnoughts. The ship was invisible to most forms of detection, its hull covered in materials that absorbed sensor beams and radar pulses. Around him, his crew worked at stations that controlled weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. Sir, called his communications officer, we're receiving the latest intelligence from the surface. The Galactic Council just voted to classify Earth as a non-threat. They're removing us from their strategic planning entirely. Harrison smiled grimly. Perfect. Let them think we're harmless gardeners and poets. The longer they underestimate us, the better our position becomes. Through the ship's viewports, Harrison could see dozens of other vessels moving through the hidden fleet yards. Carriers that could launch 1,000 fighters. Destroyers armed with weapons that could crack planets. Support ships filled with technologies that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. All of them invisible to the civilizations that mocked Earth's silence. The captain activated his command console and spoke into the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Harrison. Continue standard operations, maintain stealth protocols. And remember, we are not the aggressors here. We are the guardians. When the galaxy finally sees what we have built, let them know we built it in peace, hoping never to use it. The first warning, the illusion of Earth's weakness began to crack when a hegemony patrol encountered something impossible in the outer regions of Earth's solar system. Commander Vexillar was leading a routine scouting mission when his sensors detected an anomaly near Jupiter's largest moon. What is that? He demanded, staring at the readings that made no sense. His ship's computers insisted they were looking at empty space, but his visual sensors showed something different. A shadow moved against the stars, too regular to be natural, too large to be debris. Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures, reported his science officer. But I cannot get a clear scan. It's like something is interfering with our instruments. Commander Vexillar had served in the hegemony fleet for 20 years. He had seen every type of ship and weapon the galaxy had to offer. But whatever lurked in the darkness near Jupiter was unlike anything in his experience. It was big. It was powerful. And it was watching them. Send a message to Fleet Command, he ordered. Tell them we may have found something significant in the Earth system. Before his communications officer could comply, every system on Vexillar's ship suddenly went dead. Power, engines, weapons, life support, everything stopped working. In the terrifying silence that followed, a voice spoke through their communication system with perfect clarity. Commander Vexillar of the Hegemony Third Fleet. The voice was calm, professional, and unmistakably human. You have entered Earth's defensive perimeter. Turn your ship around and leave this system immediately. This is your only warning. Power returned to the ship as suddenly as it had vanished. Every system came back online without any sign of damage or interference. Commander, Vexillar found himself staring at sensor readings that showed nothing but empty space and distant planets. Whatever had spoken to them was gone, as if it had never existed. The growing storm. The report from Commander Vexillar sent shockwaves through the hegemony's command structure. For the first time in centuries, one of their ships had been disabled and threatened without firing a shot. The implications were terrifying to military minds that had grown comfortable with their supremacy. High Admiral Thexara summoned her war council to the fortress world of Dominion Prime. The chamber where they met had seen the planning of 1,000 conquests, but never had the assembled generals looked so uncertain. "How is this possible?" demanded General Kor, his massive frame trembling with rage. "Earth has no fleet. Our intelligence is absolute. They are a peaceful species with primitive technology." Admiral Thexara studied the holographic display that showed Earth's solar system. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid had been catalogued and analyzed. Nothing they saw suggested the presence of advanced military technology. "Perhaps," she said slowly, "our intelligence has been incomplete. Order a full reconnaissance of the system. I want to know what we're really dealing with." The scout fleets that approached Earth's solar system over the following weeks encountered phenomena that defied explanation. Ships vanished from sensors, only to reappear in different locations. Communication arrays suffered mysterious failures that lasted exactly long enough to prevent detailed reports. And always there were the voices, polite, professional human voices that suggested the scouts might want to conduct their observations from a greater distance. The point of no return. The final straw came when the Merchant Coalition decided to test Earth's defenses directly. A trade convoy approached the planet officially to establish commercial relations, but actually to probe for weaknesses that could be exploited later. Captain Zoreth commanded the lead vessel, a heavily armed merchant cruiser that could outfight most military ships. His cargo holds were filled not with trade goods but with weapons and soldiers disguised as traders and diplomats. "Approaching Earth orbital space," reported his navigator. "No signs of defensive installations. No challenge to our approach. They're making this very easy." Captain Zoreth nodded, but something felt wrong. The space around Earth seemed too quiet, too empty. Where were the traffic control signals? Where were the customs inspectors and border patrols that every civilized world maintained? His question was answered when the stars themselves seemed to come alive. What had appeared to be empty space suddenly revealed itself to be filled with ships. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. They materialized around the merchant convoy like predators surrounding their prey. But these were not the crude vessels the galaxy expected from Earth. These ships were works of art and engineering that surpassed anything in known space. Their hulls gleamed with energy fields that bent light around them. Their weapons ports glowed with power that made the merchant cruiser's armaments look like children's toys. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force," came a voice that carried absolute authority. "Unknown vessels, you have entered sovereign human space without permission. State your intentions immediately." Captain Zoreth tried to respond but found his voice caught in his throat. Around his convoy, the human ships moved with precision that spoke of long practice and perfect coordination. These were not farmers and artists playing at war. These were warriors who had spent generations preparing for this moment. The galaxy's laughter was about to become a scream of terror. The storm unleashed. The moment of truth. Captain Zoreth of the Merchant Coalition stared at the view screen, his mind struggling to process what his eyes were showing him. The empty space around Earth had transformed into a vast armada that stretched beyond the limits of his sensors. Ships of impossible design hung in perfect formation, their energy signatures so powerful they made his instruments scream warnings. "Admiral Chen," he managed to say, his voice barely steady. "We come in peace. We are traders seeking to establish commercial relations with your world." The response came immediately, and with it came a display of technology that froze the blood in Zoreth's veins. Every system on every ship in his convoy was suddenly accessible to the humans. His private communications, his weapon systems, his crew records. Everything was laid bare as if his ships had no security at all. "Captain Zoreth." Admiral Chen's voice carried a note of disappointment. "Your cargo holds contain military assault equipment, combat androids, and neural control devices. Your crew includes 17 intelligence operatives and 43 soldiers. This is not a trade mission. Around the convoy, the human ships began to move. They did not accelerate gradually like normal vessels. They simply changed position, appearing in new locations as if space itself had folded to accommodate them. The demonstration was more terrifying than any weapon could have been. "You have two choices," Admiral Chen continued. "Return to your home space and inform your leaders that Earth is not available for conquest. Or remain here and discover why the galaxy should have listened when we asked to be left alone." The fleet revealed Captain Zoreth chose discretion over valor, ordering his convoy to retreat at maximum speed. But as they fled, his sensors captured images that would haunt the dreams of military planners across the galaxy. Earth's defensive fleet was not just large, it was vast beyond comprehension. Ship after ship revealed itself as the humans allowed their stealth systems to partially disengage, carriers the size of small moons, battleships that bristled with weapon arrays that could glass planets, support vessels that moved with the grace of living things, and at the center of it all, space stations that had somehow been hidden in Earth's orbital space for decades. But the most terrifying sight was not the ships themselves, it was their crews. Through quantum-encrypted communications that the humans allowed him to observe, Captain Zoreth could see the faces of Earth's defenders. These were not the primitive farmers and artists the galaxy had imagined. These were professional soldiers with eyes that held the wisdom of long preparation and the determination of those who fought for their homes. Admiral Chen herself was visible on the command bridge of her flagship, a vessel that dwarfed anything in the Merchant Coalition's arsenal. She was a small woman by galactic standards, but she commanded her fleet with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat, because she had never been unprepared for battle. "Message to all Coalition vessels," she broadcast on frequencies that reached across the solar system. "Tell your leaders that Earth extends an invitation to peaceful contact and trade, but also tell them that we are no longer the world they thought they knew. We have been watching. We have been learning. And we have been preparing." The Galactic Awakening. The news of Earth's revealed strength spread across the galaxy like wildfire through dry grass. In the halls of the Galactic Council, the laughter died as representatives stared at holographic displays showing images captured by fleeing merchant vessels. The ships they saw were not just advanced, they were revolutionary. Ambassador Zextai found himself standing before the council, his mandibles clicking nervously as he tried to explain how their intelligence had been so completely wrong. "The humans have been deceiving us for decades," he insisted. "They have been building this fleet in secret while pretending to be a peaceful species." But even as he spoke, new reports arrived that painted a different picture. Deep space monitoring. Stations were detecting massive energy signatures throughout human space, signatures that suggested Earth's fleet was not newly built, but had been hidden for years. The humans had not deceived anyone. They had simply been ignored. The Krillian. Delegate rose from her seat, her scales now dull with fear rather than bright with amusement. "How many ships do they have?" she asked, though she dreaded the answer. The response came from the Council's chief intelligence officer, a being whose species had perfected the art of information gathering over millennia. "Current estimates suggest the human fleet numbers in the tens of thousands. But these are only the vessels we can detect. Their stealth technology is so advanced that there could be many more." A stunned silence fell over the chamber. The largest fleet in the galaxy belonged to the hegemony, and it numbered barely 3,000 ships. If the humans had built a force, even twice that size, they would represent a power shift that could destabilize the entire galactic order. The hegemony's response High Admiral Thexara paced the war room of her flagship, her mind racing as she studied the intelligence reports, flooding in from across the galaxy. Every military database was being updated with new threat assessments. Every strategic plan was being revised. The comfortable assumptions that had guided galactic politics for centuries were crumbling. "Ma'am," called her intelligence chief, "we're receiving reports of human ships throughout the galaxy. Not invasion fleets, individual vessels conducting what appears to be reconnaissance missions. They're mapping our trade routes, our military installations, our communication networks." The Admiral stopped pacing and stared at the tactical displays. Red dots appeared on star charts, each one representing a confirmed human vessel. They were everywhere, observing, recording, learning. How long had they been watching? They'd been preparing for this for decades, she realized aloud. While we were laughing at their peaceful nature, they were studying us. They know our strengths, our weaknesses, our tactics. They've been planning for war, while we've been planning for conquest. General Kor slammed his fist on the planning table, causing holographic displays to flicker. Then we strike first. We cannot allow them to grow stronger. But Admiral Thexara shook her head. Strike with what? Our intelligence suggests they have numerical superiority and technological advantages we cannot match, and they've chosen their timing perfectly. Our fleets are scattered across the galaxy, maintaining our various occupations and territories. They could strike at our home worlds while our forces are deployed elsewhere. The realization was like ice water in her veins. The hegemony had built their empire on the assumption that no single power could challenge them. But the humans had not sought to challenge them directly. They had simply made themselves too strong to be threatened. The new reality. Across the galaxy, the revelation of Earth's true strength sent shockwaves through every civilization. The Dominion recalled their exploration fleets from the Galactic rim. The Trade Syndicate began revising their expansion plans. Even the mysterious shadows who rarely involved themselves in galactic politics were reported to be taking a greater interest in human activities. But the humans themselves seemed strangely calm about their revealed power. Ships that had been hidden for decades continued their patrols with quiet efficiency. Communication channels remained open for diplomatic contact. Trade offers were extended to any civilization interested in peaceful relations. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the command center of Deep Station Alpha, watching as reports flowed in from around the galaxy. The secret they had kept for 50 years was finally revealed, but rather than relief, she felt a deep sense of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "Status of all fleets?" she asked. "All defensive positions maintained," came the reply from Commander Kim. "No hostile actions detected. Several civilizations have sent diplomatic messages requesting formal contact." Dr. Rodriguez nodded. This was the moment they had planned for but never quite believed would come. Earth was no longer the quiet world on the galaxy's edge. They were now a major power, with all the responsibilities that entailed. "Send a message to all human vessels," she ordered. "Maintain defensive postures but take no aggressive action. We revealed our strength to protect ourselves, not to conquer others. Let the galaxy see that power does not have to mean oppression." The first test. The first real test of the new galactic order came when a hegemony battle group approached the edges of human space, ostensibly on a routine patrol but clearly probing for weaknesses. Admiral Chen's fleet moved to intercept them, but the encounter that followed was unlike any military engagement in galactic history. Instead of weapons fire and tactical maneuvers, the meeting began with a transmission from Admiral Chen herself. "Hegemony vessels, you are approaching the boundaries of human territory. We welcome peaceful contact, but military formations are not permitted beyond this point." The hegemony commander, Admiral Korex, found himself facing a dilemma he had never encountered before. His forces were outnumbered 10-1 by ships that appeared to be technologically superior. But retreating without a fight would be seen as cowardice by his superiors. "Human fleet," he replied. "The hegemony recognizes no territorial claims in this region of space. We will proceed as planned." What happened next became legend throughout the galaxy. Rather than opening fire, the human ships simply positioned themselves around the hegemony formation. They did not threaten or posture. They simply waited, their presence making it clear that any aggressive action would be met with overwhelming force. For 6 hours, the two fleets faced each other in silence. Then Admiral Chen made an offer that changed everything. "Admiral Korex, would you care to come aboard my flagship for a discussion? I believe we have much to learn from each other." The diplomatic revolution. The meeting between Admiral Chen and Admiral Korex lasted 12 hours and covered everything from military tactics to galactic politics. When it ended, both commanders had gained a new understanding of their respective civilizations and the possibilities for peaceful coexistence. Your people, Admiral Korex admitted as he prepared to return to his ship, are not what we expected. We thought strength could only come through conquest and domination, but you have built something different. Admiral Chen smiled. We learned from watching the galaxy's conflicts. We saw that empires built on fear and oppression always eventually fall. We chose to build our strength on different foundations: knowledge, preparation, and the determination to protect what we love, rather than take what belongs to others. The news of this peaceful encounter spread quickly, and its implications were not lost on the galaxy's political leaders. Earth had revealed not just military might, but a new approach to power itself. They had shown that it was possible to be strong without being aggressive, to be prepared for war while working for peace. The new balance in the months that followed, the galactic order shifted in ways no one had predicted. The hegemony found itself dealing with rebellions in systems that had been inspired by Earth's example. The trade syndicate discovered that their monopolistic practices were being challenged by human commercial innovations. Even the Galactic Council had to acknowledge that their exclusive club was no longer the only center of interstellar power. But perhaps the most significant change was in how conflicts were resolved. The human approach of defensive strength combined with diplomatic engagement began to influence other civilizations. Wars that might once have raged for decades were resolved through negotiation, backed by the implicit threat of human intervention. Dr. Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of Deep Station Alpha, looking up through the transparent aluminum dome at the stars beyond. Earth's secret was revealed, but in many ways their greatest challenges were just beginning. They had proven that a quiet species could become a galactic power. Now they had to prove that power could be used wisely. The final message. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would echo through the ages. The quiet ones, the peaceful ones, the civilizations that seemed content to tend their gardens and create their art. These were not necessarily the weak ones. Sometimes they were simply the patient ones, building strength in silence and waiting for the moment when that strength would be needed. Earth's message to the galaxy was simple but profound. Never mistake silence for weakness. Never assume that peace means helplessness, and never underestimate those who choose to watch and learn rather than boast and threaten. The laughter had stopped, the mockery had ended, and in the vast darkness between the stars, the quiet strength of humanity had become a new kind of light, one that promised protection for the innocent and consequences for the aggressive. The galaxy would never be the same.